My name is Vollmann. I'm the founder of Goodhood. We are building a social impact business that wants to build a very profitable business and at the same time create a lot of social welfare around social cohesion. Picture it as the neighborhood operating system that enables you to tap into the huge potential that your immediate vicinity, your neighborhood has to offer. Let me run you through how we do this. When you connect a lot of neighbors within a very short time frame, in a very small radius, actually very beautiful things happen. So this is my neighborhood, Scheunenviertel here in Berlin Mitte. 3 years after moving in, I didn't know a single one of my neighbors, and I decided to start nebenan.de in order to change this. And when you start a hyperlocal network, your main problem is the hen and egg, the empty room problem. You have a few scattered users all around, and nothing happens. So what we spent the first year was trying to figure out how to solve it, how to get a neighborhood from zero into critical mass of more than 100 users within basically 1 week. And this is what we figured out and what we are now able to scale and repeat neighborhood by neighborhood. When you do that, with more than 100 neighbors around you, you actually get what you're looking for. Supply and demand meet, and people can start sharing things, helping each other, and create a local community. But when you manage to connect more than 1,000 people in your neighborhood, and together with the surrounding neighborhoods, in my neighborhood more than 8,000 people are now active, then very beautiful things happen. When you lose your wedding ring, you have a high chance of actually getting it back through our platform. Now, we think of this as the big third category of social networking, which is emerging at the moment. And let me explain a little bit how it's different from the other categories that you know. What we do is we're building an online tool that leads to more offline encounters by real people. We make sure that only residents can join. They need to sign up with their full clear name. We verify their addresses. And this creates the trust necessary that you know you're interacting with your neighbors and your neighbors only. And this is a private and secure space for the neighborhood. And then, basically, for the first time in history, you have the ability to digitally interact with your neighbors. And this allows you, in essence, what that does is it lowers the hurdle to take the first step towards your neighbor, something that less and less people do in the real world. Online, we're much more likely to ask for a drilling machine or for help than knocking at a stranger's door. That's a very high hurdle. And the beauty of what we see happening is that the vast majority of interactions on the platform are between people who were not in contact before, people who didn't have their email address or phone number of each other, so they were not able to digitally interact before Nebenan was born. So we enable a totally new category of interaction. And what we see is that the vast majority of those interactions actually lead to a real-life offline encounter by 2 or more people, and that's what makes it so powerful. And this is cross-generational, cross-social strata and backgrounds, and this is what really creates the social impact I was referring to. We believe that local community is key to solving a lot of the fundamental challenges that modern Western societies today face. We believe that a lot of them are solved at your doorstep together with communities. I just give you a few examples. We see a lot of neighborly help happening on the platform. An example in my neighborhood, 6 neighbors got together to take turns in going shopping for an elderly lady that went blind. And this made a huge impact on her life, and she could stay at home instead of going to an old age home. There's a lot of neighborly meetups. People meet around common interests. People get together to form a parents group. They just form a lot of neighbor meetups, and this has a big impact on the increasing loneliness and isolation problem that we're actually facing in our aging society. There's a lot of stuff going on around civic participation, civic engagement, pro-democracy things on the platform. It helps newcomers to quicker become part of the neighborhood, integrating new neighbors, be it people from the same background, also foreigners. We have a huge impact on mental health. If you're lonely and isolated, you have a huge risk of mental health problems, depression, suicide, stroke, everything, your risk goes up. So if you're more connected to your neighborhood, this risk is reduced. We see a lot of resource sharing happening on the platform. People are food saving, people are carpooling, people are sharing things that they don't want to buy because they don't use them very often. This has a big impact on sustainability and reducing carbon footprint of neighborhoods. We know it's been shown over and over again, connected neighborhoods are safer, have less crime, less vandalism than anonymous neighborhoods. And last but not least, we know that local business is under a lot of pressure, and we are the platform that helps local business connect with the neighbors around them. We've mastered growth. We're going to have 2 million users by the end of this year. This is address-verified users. And we're seeing a strong reduction in our cost per user in new user acquisition, as now word-of-mouth effects and also brand awareness effects are catching on more and more. At the same time, users come back very steadily, so we have very stable, long-term engagement on the platform. We have above 25% weekly active users, even in cohorts that are now more than 3 years old already. And the fact that it's not an inherently viral model, because remember, I told you, you don't have a lot of email addresses or phone numbers of neighbors in your mobile phone, so you can't invite them digitally to the platform. This is, in the beginning, was a barrier to growth. We've solved it, and now it actually, when you're through it and you created critical mass in 10,000 neighborhoods in Europe, it actually becomes a barrier to entry for everyone behind you. And it makes this model a highly defendable model. We've kept our US competitor out of this market. We're 25 times bigger than they are. And this is actually the good news. We're creating value for all the stakeholders in the local ecosystem. The private neighbors, I've already mentioned. The local business owners can finally connect to their relevant area around their business. But we also cater to non-profit organizations and Vereine here in Germany, and the public administration, the local government. And ultimately, we believe that in the long term, hyperlocal is a huge underserved business opportunity, and we can build a highly profitable and nicely defendable business position. So the status quo is that we are at the moment connecting. The numbers in the beginning were a little bit wrong. We're going to have 2 million users in more than 10,000 hoods in more than 1,000 cities across 4 countries in Europe. We run national brands because this is about building hyperlocal communities. We believe that one brand fits all is the wrong approach in this model. In Germany, it's nebenan.de. In France, it's Mes Voisins. In Spain, it's Tienes Sal. And in Italy, it's Vicini Miei. And we always start in the big cities and then move city by city. So, for example, in Germany, we're live in Germany's biggest 350 cities. In France, we are at the biggest 25 cities, and we're moving down as we roll out. My main message today is wake up Europe. This is a third category of social networking emerging. The next 3 years will decide whether it will be dominated in Europe by the US once again, by a player who doesn't care a lot about our privacy laws, by a player who won't pay any taxes on their profits here in Europe, or whether we can actually get our act together and build a European champion out of Europe for this very important category of social networking, because it's not only a business opportunity, but it creates a lot of social welfare. We at Goodhood are uniquely positioned to actually build this European champion. We've proven that we can execute on this opportunity. We've kept the US competitor out of Germany completely, and we invite you to become part of the story and build a European champion together. Thank you very much.